The House of Representatives can sue President Trump over his move to siphon funding from Pentagon accounts toward his border wall plans, a federal appeals court ruled Friday, delivering a major statement on where the power of the purse lies in American government. The ruling does not halt construction of the wall. But it does give Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her fellow Democrats a new chance to argue in court that Trump illegally shifted funds to build the wall, which could curtail future construction, should they prevail. The Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, in a unanimous 3-judge ruling, said money spent without the House's agreement is a specific injury to the House, and as an institution it has the right to sue. Judge David Santel, a Reagan appointee, wrote, "Failure to recognize that injury in fact would fundamentally alter the separation of powers by allowing the executive branch to spend any funds the Senate is on board with, even if the House withheld its authorizations." He was joined by 2 Obama appointees. Their decision overturns a lower court decision that said the House didn't have standing. President Trump had asked for at least $5 billion in border wall money for fiscal year 2019, and sent the government into a partial shutdown to try to get his way, but eventually caved and signed a bill allocating only $1.375 billion. But he then issued directives to shift more than $6 billion in money from Pentagon accounts toward wall building. He repeated that same maneuver for fiscal year 2020 as well. Challenges have been filed in courts across the country and President Trump has lost in most of them, though the Supreme Court has ruled construction can continue while the cases make their way through the process. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin restarted talks for a bipartisan relief bill on Friday. Drew Hamill, Mrs. Pelosi's deputy chief of staff, confirmed on Twitter that the two spoke over the phone and planned to continue their conversation in the next few days. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow said the White House won't accept any $2.5 trillion or $3 trillion offers. He told reporters, "Best thing I can say to you is, and I spoke to Secretary Mnuchin a little while ago, there's a lot of conversations which is good, but there's no agreement yet. We want some targeted assistance plans." Negotiations for a fifth relief bill collapsed last month after Democrats and White House negotiators were unable to reach a compromise on state and local funding, an extension for enhanced unemployment, and an overall price tag for the package. There were a few attempts to restart talks at the end of August, but things remained stalled. Mrs. Pelosi and Mr. Mnuchin shifted their focus to getting a government spending bill through Congress before the end of September. The renewed effort in negotiations comes as rank-and-file members of Congress ramp up their demands for new corona relief, particularly those facing difficult re-election fights. Though a handful of bills and proposals have been put forward, nothing has successfully passed either chamber since the House passed its $3.4 trillion package in May. On Thursday, Democrats began considering another relief bill that would serve as their best offer to Republicans. With a price tag potentially around $2.2 or $2.4 trillion, the package is expected to include new funds for the Small Business Paycheck Protection Program, another round of direct payments, and relief for airlines and restaurants. However, House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer told reporters that Democrats are still holding out hope that a deal can be reached with Republicans before they have to put their own bill up for a vote. The Maryland Democrat said, "I don't have an expectation at this point in time for a vote because our focus is we want to get a deal or an agreement with Mnuchin and the Senate because we want a bill passed and signed, so that's what our focus is, trying to get an agreement before we go home." He added, "We're really focused on trying to get a negotiated deal. The reason being that a message bill is one thing, but we want to get something signed so people get money." Secretary Mnuchin and Speaker Pelosi have gotten a deal 4 times. You know, we ought to be able to do it a 5th. Democratic presidential nominee Joseph Biden and his vice presidential pick Senator Kamala Harris paid their respects to the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on Friday. The two joined dozens of other lawmakers and other dignitaries at her memorial ceremony, where she is the first woman and Jewish person to lie in state in the United States Capitol. The ceremony was limited due to health concerns regarding the coronavirus pandemic. Kamala Harris, chatted and took photos with their fellow lawmakers, including Representatives Katherine Clark of Massachusetts and Joyce Beatty, before the ceremony began. Joe Biden spoke with Representative Shelia Jackson Lee of Texas. He and Jill Biden were seated on the same side as Justice Ginsburg's family. The former vice president made the sign of the cross as he stood at Justice Ginsburg's casket. Mr. Biden recounted when he met Justice Ginsburg, when she was nominated and confirmed in 1993 to fill the seat vacated by retiring Justice Byron White. He said as he was leaving the Capitol, "I first met her when I did her hearings. I was the chairman of the committee when she was confirmed. Wonderful memories." President Trump paid his respects to Justice Ginsburg on Thursday as she lied in repose at the Supreme Court. Referred to as the notorious RBG, the liberal justice was remembered this week by lawmakers across the political spectrum for her fierce record as a lawyer and jurist. She was the second woman appointed to the Supreme Court. Justice Ginsburg joined the ACLU in 1972, where she started the Women's Rights Project and argued before the Supreme Court in 1973 on behalf of Air Force Lieutenant Sharon Frontiero, who was demanding a housing allowance and other benefits that at the time were given only to men in the military. As a justice on the High Court, she authored the 1996 United States v. Virginia opinion, which struck down Virginia Military Institute's all-male admission policy. The 7-1 decision even won the backing of then Chief Justice William Rehnquist. It was the late Justice Antonin Scalia, one of Justice Ginsburg's close friends and fellow opera lover, who dissented from her opinion. Justice Ginsburg died at the age of 87 last Friday after battling metastatic pancreatic cancer. The liberal justice's death leaves a gaping hole on the 9-member panel and immediately sparked a bitter partisan battle over who will get to nominate her successor. President Trump and Republicans are moving swiftly to fill the void. The nominee is expected to be named Saturday, less than 40 days before the election. Democrats accused Republicans of hypocrisy, given that they blocked President Barack Obama's nominee Merrick Garland in 2016. Some on the left have called for expanding the court if Republicans succeed in naming a conservative judge in the liberal justice's place. The GOP lawmakers defended their decision, arguing that their party controls both the White House and Senate, which fits past precedent, unlike the situation 4 years ago. Justice Ginsburg's granddaughter said she dictated to her the following before she died: "My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed."